Hi, everybody. I guess first off, I can say this is my wonderful little talk about my quest to automate some parts of Neopets. So this is me, whatever, software engineering student, 4th year, still plays a little bit of Neopets, walks around kind of slowly, usually has a hard time finishing long turn-based RPGs, and I tend to eat about 3 meals a day. But here's someone a little bit more special that you might want to meet. This is darling Eunice. She's my yellow Kugra. She's really talented. She's level 17 in the Battle Dome, which is actually not that strong, but I'm going to believe that. She moves at Mach 2 speed all the time. She's an ultimate genius, and she usually doesn't get fed at all, actually. So that's, you know, the ups and downs of being a Neopet. So in case maybe you might not know like what Neopets is, or maybe you have a different understanding of it than I do, to me, Neopets is basically 3 things. Dailies. When I'm talking about dailies, I'm talking about the giant omelet, gotta get your slice. I'm talking about the snowager. You gotta sneak into that cave when the snowager's asleep if you want the treasure. And I'm talking about collecting the interest at the bank, because you can only do that once a day. When I'm talking about games, I'm talking about Solitaire. You guys might remember that. I'm talking about Cheat, which was the Neopets version of BS, or Peanut Butter Jelly might be its other safe name. I'm talking about Trouble at the Neopean, those games that keep you on the site. And I'm also talking about playing the stock market, which I only actually discovered in university. So when I get to tell my mom that, like, I'm, you know, playing the stock market, she's like, "Oh, wow, Kelly, you're so smart." And I'm like, "Oh, no, actually not." And so I guess the why here is the meat of the reason of why I'm here. So number 1, I wanted to do something that would be easy for me, and one part of that would be that somebody else has already done like most of the work. This is what I mean by abandoned code. Like Neopets was way popular before, so people already kind of figured out how it works, so I can just use their tools. 2, the problems are easy. If the problems are too hard, I'll lose interest, I'll give up. I don't want that. 3, they're fun. Neopets is a game. It's a game for kids, too. Well, I'm still a kid at heart. 4 is actually a point that I really wanted to bring up, because Neopets, like, there are ways to maybe be mean on Neopets. You know, you could extort people for holding their account ransom, or you could say, "I actually don't want to trade you this item so that you can get an avatar." But the bots that I'm writing, and a lot of people are just friendly bots that do inane things like collect bank interest. So these are considerate bots that aren't actually hurting anybody. And the main reason that got me doing this was I thought, I want to play Neopets, but I actually don't really want to play Neopets. Like, I just want something else to do it for me. So I decided, let's not do any more dailies, let's make the computer do it. So here are the basics of why I thought, this is easy, I know this. Neopets is old, so a lot of its original features are just like HTML forms and clicking on different URLs to take you to different places. For example, the deposit Neopoints thing on the bank, it's just insert amount of Neopoints, click deposit. And when you look at the form, it just says, okay, there's 2 inputs. One says deposit, so you know that you're depositing the Neopoints, and 2 is just the amount, so you know how many Neopoints you're doing. When I look at that, I say, oh my gosh, yes, like, I know how to automate this one. It's just one request. And luckily, Neopets actually lets you do this, so that's the basics of how everything on Neopets works, and this is the stuff that I learned in my very first internship, so still using it now. So I want to give a shout out to J.M. Gilman on GitHub, who really wrote the most of this repo library called neolib in Python. J.M. Gilman basically wrote like everything to do dailies, so I realized, well, okay, maybe they did a little bit more than I wanted them to do, because I wanted to be able to write the dailies. But I could write a script that just collects bank interest, which is great. So then I decided, I'm a big girl. I can do something grown-ups do. I'm going to write something that buys and sells stocks. And this little shot of the stock window, where you can basically see the most important things about it, which is the ticker, so the name of the company, the opening value, which actually isn't really relevant, and the current value, which dictates like the price that you can buy it at. And so I'm going to tell you guys the secret right now, the secret to fame and wealth on Neopets. One, you can only buy, or the cheapest price you can buy stocks at on Neopets is 15 Neopoints per share. So whenever a stock hits 15 Neopoints per share, buy it. The next thing is you can only buy 1,000 shares a day. So if you wanted to add something to your dailies script, maybe you could just buy some 15 NP shares. The other stuff that I learned from this amazing guide is that don't actually sell if you get a 50% increase in value. You gotta wait till it doubles or triples. Then you're a high roller on Neopets. And I actually wrote this module on Neolib, and I was really proud of it. It worked like a lot, and I made a lot of Neopoints, kind of. I'm like a diamond millionaire on Neopets now. So I thought, I'm going to show you guys something really cool, which is this really cool diagram graph that I made from the data of my logs. It's really intellectual, so don't get mad if you don't understand it. So this is from my logs when it actually worked or not, when it reported that it worked. So, mostly you can see that it sometimes worked and it sometimes didn't. And it hasn't worked for since November 23rd. That's because they took down a page that I was relying on to get the cheap stocks. I totally got stocks to work, and I was ready to move on to the next thing, NeoQuest. NeoQuest is a game, it's like Pokemon, kind of, the very first Pokemon games. You walk around, you battle some enemies, and you defeat them. But the great thing about NeoQuest is it doesn't use Flash, it doesn't use JavaScript. All it is you click on a page, the page reloads, you've entered a new game state. So I thought, all right, I can do this. Also, it's worth mentioning, like when you click on something in Neopets, the old versions that they haven't updated, sometimes your request happens immediately or gets a response immediately. Sometimes it's like 2 to 3 seconds, and you're like, if you're playing solitaire, you're like, I dragged the ace of hearts to this other spot. I know what happened. Why do I have to wait to see it? And the same thing in NeoQuest. It's real torture. What is next? Oh yeah. So NeoQuest is actually a pretty huge game. Like it took me months the first time I played it to beat it. It has all the traditional things like skill trees, battles, different spells, leveling up, dungeons, and so I thought, I can do this, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be my new invention. And then of course I saw that someone else had already done it, and they beat the whole game, so I was like, oh crap, I guess I'm really not special. Like, not only had other people done the dailies, but people had also finished NeoQuest. So I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna find something that can be mine, something that can be new in NeoQuest that I've invented. So what I have up here is the compass that you click on to move, of course. And the one in the arrow shows kind of the assignment of numbers to directions where you move. So basically, if each action is, an HTTP request with the query parameters, move dir 6 will move you southwest, for example. So I thought, all right, I get it. I get how you move around the map. But maybe this person who's solved the game has like some really interesting strategy to get around. So I found their Pather module, and I looked at it, and I was like, I don't understand. How could this work? and I thought about it for like 3 days. I'm sure I was doing other stuff too, but it really took a lot of my mental energy. And then I realized that really it was just a sequence of directions from one place to another. And then I was like, oh, well, yeah, I could figure that out. So my goal overall is to maybe use something smarter to navigate the maps, but I haven't got there yet. But I do have something that I can show you that I've accomplished. It might not be very easy to understand. Again, really intellectual stuff. So this is a little recording of me using IPDB to play. So the @ is the character on the map. And after moving, I got attacked by a snow imp. And I have to transition out of the splash page to get to the next thing. But now I'm in battle. And this was my pride and joy, the while loop. While I'm in battle, attack. And then I won. It was incredible. And that was my holiday. Coding that up really took everything out of me. So I guess that's really all I've accomplished. And I'm actually really proud of it. So, you know, haters back off. But I think maybe, like, to me, what writing code for Neopets is doing something easy where if I make mistakes or write really crappy code, that's okay. Like, I'm learning, you know? And also, it has this whole community behind it of people who, like, have done so much silly stuff as well that, like, am I really embarrassed I'm making a bot that plays a game on Neopets? No, because tons of 13-year-olds 10 years ago wrote tons of guides explaining how to play this game. So I guess I'm near the end, but I want to give some shout-outs to all the people who put together the in-depth NeoQuest guides. That's Icy Snowman Champ and a couple others. I didn't write their names down. All the Neopets players who wrote NeoLib, because it actually works, and it's great. Also, use the Python 2 version. The Neopets team, who actually made Neopets in the first place, and anybody else who wants to work on it. They have a solitaire game, and it's really fun. And that's about it from me. Check out these repos and, you know, automate some pets. And that's it.